Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Let's talk about a real way to combat inflation, because we can all already guess that COLA, our cost of living adjustment or pay raise, if you will, is not really going to cut it. So there are benefits out there that can help us combat inflation if we're aware and we utilize them. So let's talk about that. I want to throw it out there to you just to open up the mindset a little bit. With that, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I truly appreciate it. For those of you that can, please let the video run. That helps to push this information out to more of us. Every thumbs up helps out a lot. Thank you so much for that. And if you want to support the channel in other ways, I do have highlighted members on the front page. You should see a join button there somewhere. And thank you to all you members. I truly appreciate your support. And I do my best to get back to you in the comments and acknowledge your comments. I try with other people's too. It's just, you know, for those that have watched for a while, know that there's a lot of content. There's a lot of comments. It's almost impossible. All right. So with that, let's jump into it. COLA is going to not be that bolsterous. We'll just say. We can all agree on that, and especially if you're in the lower percentiles as far as disability compensation payments are concerned. You know, if you're at 50% rating, a 2.5% increase is really, I mean, it's nothing. I mean, maybe you're getting a half a tank of gas or something. So inflation still is not good. We're still feeling the effects of inflation, and quite frankly, I think that what happens is that the inflation takes off so much, and we're always behind the ball when it comes to inflation data and our cost of living adjustment, right? So although they both have the same trajectory upward, the gap is different, right? And so because of that, the lines are just getting further and further apart over time. So, you know, even if inflation slows like they say it is, even if it does slow, we're still behind the curve. So with that being said, we need to look for other ways to pad our income, create a disposable income, ideally, right? To have some money that you could sock away, buy that thing that you wanted, not necessarily needed, that type of stuff. Be able to pay your bills, all that, right? We're all people. We're all in the same situation to one extent or another. And a little extra money doesn't hurt. So benefits that we have for us as veterans and surviving spouses, in fact, through DIC or spouse pension, also kind of come into play. I'll talk about that first. If you're a surviving spouse or maybe a dependent or even a dependent parent who relied on the veteran in some way, you may qualify for dependency indemnity compensation. That's a fantastic benefit. Stands on one, sorry. So DIC is a fantastic benefit that will pay out anywhere. This isn't a DIC video, but dependency indemnity compensation will pay out anywhere between about $1,600 per month tax-free all the way over $3,000 per month, depending on a whole bunch of varying factors. So that is definitely something that would help you combat a climate of inflation, right? Is if you didn't have that and now you do, that is helpful. Same thing with VA pension. VA pension can be allowable for surviving spouses of war period veterans, okay? Not combat veterans, those two, but the veteran just needed to have served during a war period. One day, there's some other requirements as far as the length of duty, that type of stuff, but again, this isn't a pension video, just an awareness video to drive money into the household. So surviving spouse who may not qualify for dependency indemnity compensation, who's low or no income and having trouble making ends meet, may qualify for VA pension for the spouse. So that's a great one. So now let's come back to the veteran for a minute here. Veterans, we have the most unique ability of all kind of financial, monetary benefits out there for us. We get to take as many bites of that VA apple as we like. And we could be denied and keep applying with new evidence, and eventually one day it could overturn, right? That is a very unique situation for us. I'm super grateful that we have a system in which we can continue to add on, pack the snowball, if you will. The idea here is, ideally, you've already have your VA compensation at whatever percentage you are, right? Now, if you're new to the channel, you're new to VA benefits, you've done some searching, you're just kind of trying to get your bearings on all this, then you should be filing for your disability compensation. There's a whole host of reasons why people say they're not. Don't be one of those people. Look for ways to say yes. It's a benefit that you earned when you actually signed and fulfilled your contract with the United States military. You would not leave any other benefit on the table, no matter where you worked. So why would you leave this one on the table? So that's the first part. Get service connected. Now, here's the big piece where we can leverage our benefit to help combat inflation as the years go by. Our injuries and illnesses and diseases and all the different ailments that we have that are service connected will undoubtedly get worse as we progress. Now, it's not saying that you're going to always be able to get a higher rating, because you might be maxed out. For example, if your migraines are rated at 50%, you're not going any higher than that. If your hiatal hernia is at 50%, or 60%, excuse me, is at 60% for hiatal hernia, you're not going to go any higher than that rating. So, but in other cases, there might be room for an increase. So as your condition gets worse, definitely look into the ability to file for an increase. The ability to file for an increase is essentially a benefit within the benefit of disability compensation. And the magnitude of money that you can get from VA compensation on a 10% basis, right? 10, 20, 30, 40, 10% increment basis is substantial. The biggest jump is when you move from 90 to 100, of course, and that's, somewhere around $1,500 per month, depending on varying factors, of course. And that's life-changing, right? That helps to, wouldn't you rather get an extra $500 a month by moving from X percent to Y percent? Of course you would. Or 90% to 100% and get an additional $1,500 per month. That is going to help you combat inflation. The other thing that you need to really pay attention to closely, because nobody's doing it for you. Okay, the VA is not paying attention. They're not going to say, "Oh, it looks like your condition has gotten worse, and we should increase that for you." That's not going to happen. You need to take that bull by the horns and file for the increase if it's such warranted. Now, the other thing is secondary conditions. Looking at those secondaries, right? Pay attention to your service-connected conditions and any medications that you're taking. Pay attention to your service-connected conditions and any medications that you're taking. Google search your current conditions that you are service-connected for and type in secondary conditions or common secondary conditions and see if you have any of those starting to rear their heads. In addition to that, make sure you do the same thing with your medications. Conditions commonly caused by X medication. And if you have any of those things starting to rear their heads, you need to start having those conversations with your doctor and documenting them. It does not matter if you're a service-connected condition or a secondary condition. A 10%, a 20%, a 30% is the same. They don't give you any less money because it's a secondary, right? Percentages are percentages. Although VA funny math is a little bit ridiculous, it is what it is. So make sure that you keep an eye on all of your conditions, all of your medications. Periodically check to see secondary conditions, and also make sure that you're paying attention to any severity changes, right? So for the ability to file that increase. So that's just what I wanted to share. I was thinking about that and wanted to throw that out there because COLA is going to be lackluster, I believe, for 2025. So with that, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.